Here's what I always ask myself. Why does everybody hate on NXT Black and Gold? This is what I never understood to this day. Why do people hate the original NXT Black and Gold so much, like it didn't benefit anybody? Here's the full breakdown and why I think that NXT Black and Gold is way better than the current NXT, despite the benefits that we receive from the current NXT. Let's break it all down. I've been waiting to do this video for quite some time, to be honest with you guys, and I'm glad we actually get a chance to talk about it today. So smash the like on the way in. Hit that sub button down below to help the algorithm. We're going to jump right on into it. So today's NXT has talent, man. They do. I'll be honest. They still have good talent, good energy, potential. Like, I love Obafemi, who's actually going to be called up to the main roster now over to SmackDown. Oh, my bad. I mean Crackdown. So that's good. I kind of wonder what they're going to do about him dropping that NXT strap, but that's another story for another day. But you got Trick Money Williams down there, man, who's now actually getting called up to the main roster also. Javon Evans, who just got called up yesterday on Monday Night Raw. Tony D'Angelo, Ricky Saints. These were like some of the five pillars, man. They were the five pillars of NXT, to be honest. They're all getting called up today, minus Tony D, of course. But, you know, they were the forefront of this version of NXT, to me. Let's be honest. That black and gold run was different, though. It was a different beast, and you can't even lie. So today, we're exposing these fans for their bullshit lies, saying that NXT Black and Gold served no purpose. We're going to expose that lie today. So I had to have a clarity moment as I was making this, right? First, NXT Black and Gold had a clear identity. That's number one. Black and Gold era knew exactly what it wanted to be, man. Today's NXT, it doesn't feel like it knows what it wants to be. It knows it's developmental, but it doesn't have that identity slapped behind it. Like, for an example, the lighting was dark in NXT Black and Gold. The action was gritty, competitive, and very serious. You took every single match serious, even the ones that weren't about the main event. Triple H had that brand built. He built that brand like an underground fight club with a little WWE polish on it. You know, just a tad bit, just a smidge, just a little bit. Not too much of the WWE polish, but, you know, for the most part, he made it feel gritty and underground and different. It felt like its own world, basically. And you felt cool watching it. You weren't judged. You weren't, you know, penalized for observing it. It was actually cool to watch that version of NXT. For the first time since the Attitude Era, different things happening every week. It was actually cool to watch wrestling again. It was actually something to look forward to. Unlike today's NXT. Today's NXT, it leans more into developmental, y'all. I mean, this is not everybody's cup of tea, but it's also something that everybody is not against. That's fine. It wants to be what it was actually always meant to be, developmental. Bring it up tomorrow stars. That's great, man. Look, but here's the issue it's having. It's also still having an identity crisis. 1 week is sports entertainment. The next week is character driven. And I'm cool with character driven shows, let's be honest. That's pretty much all we push for here. But give me some heat, man. Any type of heat with the current NXT. Give me something. I don't know, when I'm watching it or when I'm trying to watch it, I feel no heat coming off of this show. The next week after that is back to basics, right? It's not bad, it's just not as focused on major storylines. You know, it's just not as focused. And for the main storylines that they do focus on, they feel kind of Sesame Street, cookie cutter. It doesn't feel serious. It doesn't feel like we're getting into a real fight. It doesn't feel like we're getting into a real blood feud. It just feels kind of cookie cutter. It's just there, you know what I mean? It doesn't know what it wants to be. Black and Gold had a mission, bro. Current NXT has what you call assignments, not a mission. So here's my second reason. The wrestling in itself went crazy. The wrestling in the current NXT feels like it's watered down, feels like this is still lurking around the shadows, you know what I'm saying, trying to manipulate Paul 3 inches Levesque into whispering something over to HBK. Like, man, water this shit down, you know. I still want to make it look like my presence is still there. So let's keep it a buck. The matches during Black and Gold were insanely good, bro. Insane. They were insane. I'm talking about on a week-to-week basis, not even a pay-per-view. Every week felt important. Every takeover felt like a mini WrestleMania. You got the actual matches, if we're talking about the wrestling. Yeah, you got Donovan Dijak versus Keith Lee. I still remember that. What? In their whole mini feud they had. That was some epic shit back in the day. That was some epic shit to witness. Two big-ass dudes like that, moving like cruiserweights, bro. Stop playing. You had the Undisputed Era taking over UK, with the UK NXT, right? They did the UK Invasion, Undisputed Era. This is when Adam Cole was at the head, man. And they took on Imperium in the mini invasion angle. Loved it, bro. And I love that match they had at the TakeOver following. Bro, you had Finn Balor. You had Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe that gave you the heat. You want to talk about the actual matchups during this era. Man, their entire feud was great. Finn Balor suffered his first loss as the Demon at NXT TakeOver the End. I remember it like it was yesterday. Today's NXT, here's the difference. Today's NXT product still gives you the heat when they actually see moments to give you heat, but their only problem is that it's not consistent. Some matches hit hard, other matches feel like someone's learning under the lights. You know, you can literally see that somebody's learning in real time in today's NXT matches. I'm serious. It kind of looks like you're walking them through it as you're watching. You know, it's like the person that's watching on TV is trying to walk the wrestlers through how to do the moves like that. You know, like that's how it feels. I'm sorry to give you. I'm sorry to bug up on y'all like this for my current HBK NXT lovers, but it's the truth. That's developmental. I get it. It makes sense, but it's not the same intensity, and it doesn't have the same velocity behind the match. The strikes, everything that's going on in the match. You know, it doesn't have the same intensity and velocity behind these feuds. It doesn't bring that same passion and fire to the ring to me. It doesn't. Or to promos, not just the matches. It doesn't bring the promos. You don't get that heat in the backstage segments like that. And I just don't feel any real heat. But, you know, I feel it at times when they feel like it. But for the majority of the part of the current NXT, the finishes are even lame. You got to deal with the fruit roll-up finishes, the goofy finishes happening. Chase U was out there doing some comedy segments at the time, you know what I mean? Like, felt very animated at times, if I'm being honest. Joe Hendry pops up, very cartoonish, out of nowhere to save the day, right? He's got the call-up too now, but yeah. You know, back then, everybody was performing at their peak in the original Black and Gold NXT. No warm-ups, no comment, no garbage filler like today that people just accept and call it good enough. No. They was about that action. The roster was a cheat code as well. You want to talk about how stacked the NXT Black and Gold roster was, man? Look at this. I mean, this roster was so stacked, it's like somebody had dropped Christmas gifts off at your place in the middle of July with no snow. It was wrapped up like a newborn baby getting a snuggle in before it wakes up, man. I was just, you had to be there. It was like your mama cooking Thanksgiving dinner on a Saturday, every takeover. It was insane. It was a solid show every takeover. You look forward to it. You sat down, you watched Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Nakamura, Ciampa, Gargano on the women's side, Asuka, right? Shayna Baszler, and man, Sasha Banks, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe. You had guys like that to steal this show. The roster was stacked. These were already world-class names, already polished, dangerous. All right, you understand? You understand that so far? My NXT, my HBK NXT people, are y'all getting it so far? Do y'all see where I'm going with this? No shade, by the way. No, none at all. No shade at all. Y'all, I'm just saying, you didn't have to spend time developing when you're already a third brand. See, this would have saved Vince some time. But Vince missed the ball on NXT. He undercooked. He undercooked these people on purpose, bro. He undercooked because they were indie darlings. So he did not decide to cook at all. As a matter of fact, Vince didn't even want to be in the fucking kitchen. He decided to take the apron off and walk away when it came to the thought of Black and Gold NXT. So he left them medium rare over on the main roster. He left them medium rare, dude. And here's the thing. Vince got so lazy, and he knows that he could have still been developing some of those people down in the Black and Gold NXT roster. But what did he decide to do? He decided to get lazy and not even think twice about him. It was actually disrespectful to him that Paul 3H's Levesque was putting on better shows than him. Of course he wasn't going to give him the limelight. Of course. He was jealous of his son-in-law, man. Of course he wasn't going to give them the time of day. You could have took what they didn't know from the product, and you could have developed those parts of those stars during the Black and Gold NXT. This chose the latter, as we all know. Right? They could have still been developing before the main roster to learn how to carry themselves different in the big leagues. So as you can see, there was still some development to be done. But the old bastard said no. Today's NXT is mostly folks on the up and coming, right? Which is perfectly fine. It's just, it's going to take them a while to get there. Talented as hell. Like, let's go back to Trick Money Williams for a minute. My boy. He's still growing. Trick reminds me of a high schooler who was supposed to graduate like 2 semesters ago, though. You know what I'm saying? Still stuck down in NXT. Just thankfully, thank God, this past Friday on SmackDown, we actually saw him get the call up. I was wondering when the day was going to come. Shit, they dragged it forever. I was saying, like, damn, why are you still in high school, my boy? Like, come on, Paul and Mac. Let's get it together, man. This dude is screaming money. He needs that call up, and thankfully, they gave it to him. Current NXT, they're the future, but not the finished product to me. That's just my take. It's my opinion. And we only have so much time to get everybody on par before the NLE program makes everyone feel the same. And I don't know how I feel about that NLE program, because it kind of feels like they're just pushing out the same type of stars, the same type of lack of charisma, the same type of moves they're doing. Nobody feels different and everybody feels the same. I feel like everything is so fixed already with the current NXT product. That's the difference. Everything is so well polished, so fixed, already set, already in motion. Nothing feels like we're fucking up the system. Nothing feels like we're trying to do something badass or different or actually break the fourth wall. Nothing feels like that. It forgets to be chaotic, because that's what wrestling is in its essence, chaos. It doesn't mess up the system anymore. It wants to be safe. Everything just feels so polished, man. And I hope that the current NXT can pick up the pace and give us what the old Black and Gold NXT used to, but don't copy and paste. Take from it, learn from it, and actually grow, get better. These are just a few of the topics, a few of the reasons why I feel that version of NXT is better than the current one. But this is only part 1 to this video. I'm actually going to spin around and make a part 2 probably going into next week, just to give y'all the rest. So due to time, we're going to cut it right here, y'all. Let me know what y'all feel about these reasons as to what I mentioned, why the current NXT doesn't even light a candle to the old. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Big deuces. Peace. And we out. See you.